Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. This time, we are discussing It Drives Me Mad. But it's from a song called Hunger from Spectre General, which is a side group from Kick-Axe from the 80s. And it's from the Transformers movie. So there's a bunch of really 80s stuff right there in that moment there.
Yeah.
But
that's a good song.
You can blame Scrat for this one. It actually really is a good song for inspiration for bad guys and weird stuff and things. But that's beside the point. We're not there yet. We talked about campaign kind of ideas last time. This time we're going to be talking about character-specific ideas. Before we get into that, let's do introductions and announcements. I'll go first, and then Dan is going to go next, because he was late. That's why. So, you can give him sufficient flack in the comment section.
Chastise.
So, I am Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads and the Gentle Voice Ministries. You can check out the Inn of Planar Crossroads at innofplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com. Either one works. To find our content, it's right there, YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute. Twitch is there, but only as a kind of placeholder until, if we do some live things, we might simul-stream to YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. That would depend a lot on different stuff. And is not something I'm working on right now, so don't get your hopes up. That would have to be like, it'd be making some... YouTube would have to be supporting itself to be able to try and devote that type of effort to that. So, if you want to see that, put some money in the coffers, which you can find at PayPal, Locals, Subscribestar, or Patreon. Or check out our social medias. I think that's everything from me. I don't have any new announcements or anything that I can think about. This is the August. I'm not sure. I'm trying to be very direct with my artwork stuff because I'm currently trying to focus on getting things done for a project that Jacob from Avenue Studios has been working on. I'm trying to get those done. I've got some of the inking done on some of them, but it's taking me longer than I want it to, just because real stuff has come up. So still working on that, but should be able to, Lord willing, get things done. Now that's everything I have. So Dan, tell them about yourself.
Hi everybody, I'm here. Real life always getting in the way of our fun stuff. Unbelievable. I'm Dan from Avenue Studios. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And avenuestudios.media for all our links. You can support us through Patreon and Locals. And doing so gets you access to our West March Kingmaker campaign, our private Discord, and so much more. And chastise me. Shame in the chat. And I am looking forward to joining the last chat in our Lovecraftian discussion. Thank you, guys, for letting me jump in anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know what we have going on in September. Not too much. We are planning a DC 20 campaign, 8 to 12 sessions. I'm just not sure at this time in the timeline when that will occur, but keep your eyes peeled.
All right. Going for a sunshot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, Scrat, you're up.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Scrat from a Squirrel Plays over on YouTube, and I like to make videos about storytelling, world building, character design, and other assorted writing things, be it for regular written stories or TTRPGs, while trying to navigate the differences between those. And I also get to do, occasionally, some TTRPG reviews, and that's always a lot of fun, especially when it's my own. Mm-hmm. Dan missed out on that on the first episode, so I fully expect him to take it and play it on stream or something like that and promote it and
do it.
Make me rich. So
that's coming out.
It's still being tested out, but feel free.
Dude, I'm ready to test. Let's go.
All right. Well, it's ready. It's in a playable state, so get her done. It's actually posted in the server, but That's all I got. I'm just self-promoting now at this point.
Yeah, go.
Well, that's
Shio.
kind of the point. All right.
Yes, that's what we do.
Okay.
You
can join my server and go test it out.
You know, get that level up.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, that's all of our attendees tonight. Our Levi's shout out has been this whole month my daughter's channel, Kitty and Boots. She makes little AMVs and stuff. I've been trying to get her go to her channel. Okay, so go to her channel and say, when are you doing the Columbo AMV? She'll know. She will know that I have been sending people her way when you say, when are you doing the Columbo AMV? So I just want to challenge her, challenge her to something with it. So go ahead and do that. We didn't say how many subscribers we wanted to get her. Let's get her to 100 subscribers. She's at 22. So let's get her to 100 subscribers. That would tickle her pink. So, all right. That's our shout out. Anything else before we dive in, gentlemen?
What if she doesn't like pink?
Well, tough stuff.
I really like that.
Well, it's too early for a comment of the time. So we didn't actually. I don't think we did a comment of the video for the second one. So let's play timey-wimey stuff. Ooh. Go back to that one, and the comment of it is, "What if she doesn't like pink?" So
I like that. The rural ideas that was.
Yes. So in the rural ideas, the comment is, "What if she doesn't like pink?"
Homely horrors.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okie dokie. Now that we've got that out of the way, why don't you join us, travelers, by grabbing your preferred beverages and coming and sitting around the hearth, cooling your feet on the stone, while we discuss. It drives me mad. Skull.
Skull.
Ah. There it is.
Completely gone.
There we go.
I just thought that was Scrat in the morning, but okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what Glee wakes up to every morning. It's like,
yeah.
Whoa.
That's how you know it's love.
Hey, she's the Lovecraftian creature, right? The whole Kraken thing, octopus tentacles.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, it's her fault she's not here, see? She could be on too. It's just,
that's true.
No one's keeping her from it. So, there you go.
The Kraken.
The gleeful one.
The gleeful Kraken. Yes.
All right. So, let's go ahead and get into this. First, I just want to remind some people about stories that really fit into this hunger type of thing. You can go, we mentioned Pikmin. Pikmin's model is an option. It's not specifically about hunger, but it is about ghouls, which are a gluttony, hunger-based creature within the Lovecraftian mythos. So that's a thing. But we mentioned the Shunned House, the Beast in the Cave, which are all right for this hunger narrative one. But the Rats in the Walls and the Picture in the House are both very good ones for looking at a hunger-based horror type of thing. So I'll explain those two in a little bit when we get to the character idea stuff, but Dan had some notes already, and Scrat probably has notes already, so let's get those notes out of the way first. We're going to open discussion. So, what's your notes, Dan?
Mostly just on my character's concept within that campaign concept you guys bullet pointed for me. Mm-hmm. So my idea within going with Ithaquah, right on the nose, as I said before, for Wendigo style of hunger. But what I was playing with was hungers of different kinds, of vices, of desires, dreams, that kind of thing too. So for this character concept, I was thinking of two characters, a newly married couple that is grieving the miscarriage of their first child. The woman's an author, the husband's a detective, because I always like that. You gotta have the detective character in a Cthulhu. I just feel that way. But the wife has been traveling to local towns in Alaska to research for her next novel over the past 2 years. And after the miscarriage, she runs away from home to the local town she had become most connected with to try and process. During that time, she finds out that young girls and women are going missing. May or may not have to do with Ithaca. The husband follows after a while, taking all his PTO and sick leave and heading out there to find her. I wasn't sure. It would depend on how you'd want to play it. Either that he just wants to go and find her and convince her to come back home, or maybe she calls him and asks for his help for the disappearance. So that would depend. I would love to see 2 players pick this up and kind of play that out. But the hunger aspect, I loved the burning desire that I talked about in the set, feeling the burning, and the wife is hungering for the child that she lost. And Ithaca, in some of the stories, at least as I was seeing, wants to potentially create a perfect child, and he's kidnapping women to do that to help go back against the elder ones, the elder gods, who bound him to the planet. I'm suddenly blanking. Is it Borova? Borea. Borea, where he was trapped. I think he's still bound there or bound to it in some way. But so he's seeking that, and so he's preying on that hunger she has for the child. And on the flip side, I wanted the male character to be wasting away in depression. So the whole game or campaign, however you want to play it, he's wasting away, potentially eventually to become a Wendigo himself, whereas she's being drawn to that tower. I had that idea in the campaign that the tower would eventually start to become, the giant Ithaca being. And the fun thing was, you have a wife, she's still the outsider in the town, but because she's been visiting there, she has connections to the locals. That could be good or bad, because the locals might suspect her because she shows up and this starts happening. But it does tend to happen every 5 years or so, if you know the lore. And then, of course, the husband, being a detective, he has potential outside police powers you could play with, but you also get to play that fun thing of on the edge of civilization. It might be hard to reach out. I kind of had the vibe of 1980s for this, but you could really set this in any time period you want. And I think this pair of characters would work really well in that.
Well, if you want to play with a cell tower, you're going to have to go more recent than the 80s then.
Right.
So.
It could be whatever tower.
The radio tower.
GM Magic. Yeah, there you go.
Because,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, more like early aughts, maybe.
If you did the radio, you could do like
80s
shortwave radio.
It doesn't feel that far away, Adam.
You know what? They had cell phones in the 80s. In the cities. In their cars.
Yeah, my parents had the block. That was big in the car. Only dialed 911. So good.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay hundreds of dollars to only be able to dial 911.
This was late 90s, so it wasn't as expensive.
It's just equivalent to a few $1,000s in our money, that's all.
Here we are, 2020s.
That's right. Okay.
But anyways, that was my character idea based on the song.
Gotcha. And Scrat, did you have any specific notes you wanted to go into before open discussion?
Yeah, this is where my idea really mostly shot off from, more so than the setting in the last one. So I guess you missed it last time, Dan. My idea here was the players are the monsters, but not so much the sense like the bad monsters. They were normal people that got cursed and turned into some monsters of some sort. And I was thinking something akin to Illithid's Mind Flayers kind of thing. They get turned into that, so they get a big burning desire to feed, but that messes with their sanity because they're still part human and they don't like eating brains, for lack of better words.
Yes.
From a moral perspective, it might taste good to them now. But so I was thinking, all right, these guys, all the players, they could have been, and this is in like the 1920s to 40s, that kind of range. All the players could have been do-gooders, for lack of better words, like various cops and detectives and whatnot, and like that even could be your classes to choose from, like a patrolman or a detective or somebody in the forensics, I guess. There's your wizard, things like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's one reason, because they would be the good cops, right? And that's one reason they would it would really jack with their sanity. So they're like, okay, we're gonna hunt down criminals, and that's what we'll feed off of. So they're like
I love it.
they just kind of go rogue, right? Trying to do the right thing at the same time with the cards they've been dealt. Wow. And, you know, eventually later in the story, right? They figure out, okay, here's how we can break this curse. You know, we go hunt down these other cryptids and then go back to Big Bad Cthulhu Man himself and hunt him down. And so, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it'd be kind of neat.
Angel from Buffy.
There you go.
A soul trapped in a monster's body.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I didn't mess with it last time, but I do feel compelled to mention that if Cthulhu actually got released on the world, probably would just wipe it out. The idea is that you prevent him from getting here. So Cthulhu is asleep.
Yeah, I had mentioned another one. It's like it'd be neat, like the first part of the game's dealing with those new mechanics, right? From a story perspective, right? It's like, okay, we have to feed. You're figuring out all this other stuff, and kind of a little bit after that, you start figuring out, oh, here's how we can break the curse, and that's when you start dealing with all cryptids and stuff. And then towards the end, you get to go into Cthulhu's realm, or whoever gave you the curse, and then you just kind of toss those sanity and hunger mechanics to the side because you're in a whole other realm now and it doesn't apply anymore. So you're like kind of free. Got to decide. It's like, do we want to stay here or do what we originally came here for?
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Leave it up to the players.
There is a question of whether the players would want to even cure themselves if they know they can effectively live forever. Like,
do they want to be the ragtag team of vigilantes doing it their own way, or do they want to go back to being the good cops?
Because I brought up, Dan had brought up Wendigos, which, again, I did it last time. I'll do it again this time. Best Wendigo story I've seen is Algernon Blackwood's The Wendigo. Just because it's a different take than just the normal terrestrial Wendigo. So that's the one I like. The kind of illithid Cthulhu spawn idea from Scrat. And the one that I brought up was the ghouls, which in Lovecrafting and stuff they're kind of like gnolls, but they're ghouls. So they got this kind of dog-like features to their face, like
interesting,
carrion scavenger dog type of thing. I imagine it like almost hyena-like, but the ghoul is something you become, and you do effectively live forever. And they live in the dream space, in the dreamlands of Earth, which is kind of this separate parallel area to normal terrestrial Earth. So it's the place where the gods of Earth live, and it's a place where dreams and things it's where humans dream when they dream these vivid things and what happens with them. But there's this crossover between reality and that place, and you can go there if you know the right rights or you have the right things. Like if you as the game master want to look into the dreamlands, there's something called the dream cycle in the Lovecraftian universe. It's all the Randolph Carter stuff, and there's 5 stories, the longest of which I think is The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. And it is Randolph Carter's search in the Dreamlands for a land of the unknown Kadath, which is where he's been trying to get in all of his childhood dreams. And so he's trying to get back there again using the silver key. So that's an interesting thing to do, I think, if you want to have the characters question whether they want cured or not. Because being a ghoul, yeah, you eat flesh, you eat raw flesh, usually of sentient beings. But live forever, effectively. You know?
Pull a Dexter. Like Scrat was saying. Kill the bad guys.
Kill the bad guys. That's a possibility. And it's one of those things, eventually you're going to end up just becoming so succumbed to that hunger, you're going to just go live in the Dreamlands. But Pikmin, from Pikmin's model, he lives in the Dreamlands, but he rules over, he's a chieftain of the ghouls, one of the chieftains of the ghouls, because he's just retained so much of himself in that, his mental capacity during that transition. So there's a loss of self, but there's a gaining of other things that you can mess with that idea of going back and forth. And I think one of the things that makes it lean towards a corrupting aspect that you would want to get fixed is the line in here where it says, "I'll do anything to get it and feel no regret." And that's a bad guy line, right? I'll do anything to get it and I'll feel no regret. This hunger that you're feeling, that your characters would be feeling, if they're not going to feel any regret for it, if that's the eventual state that they're trying to avoid, then you know this is a corrupting influence, it's an evil influence, you're wanting to not do this. And as much avenging as you're trying to do, you're going to have to resist that or fall. And eventually, you might just miss a sanity check one too many times, you know?
That's really cool. The idea of struggling with the realization that you're not feeling anything that's really cool. That matches. Scrap, did you have something more specific with your character too? Because that matches well with what you were.
No, just the general kind of thing like just that, those, their backgrounds more so.
That's so cool. I love that.
Scrat's idea, I think, sounded a lot like, what was it? I said something along the lines of Monster League Unlimited. So Justice League Unlimited. You know?
Yes.
Where you had like this Chupacabra who's like your Q, but he's got to have fresh goats all the time.
Yeah. I love that. I'm really intrigued by that idea. When you start to realize you're becoming the serial killer, the psychopath, where you're like, I don't feel anything and I know I should feel something. That's pretty cool.
Say, the way I was thinking, it was leaning way more into the narrative side of it. Like, okay, here's these guys that were trying to make the city a better place, and then they became the monsters, and they're having to deal with that and struggle with it. So, in your typical story setting, right? Somebody would fully take advantage of that and get way too into it and say like, hey, we're free. We can actually do our jobs now. We don't have the man holding us back, or these lousy court systems. We go take care of it. So,
absolutely. What's the quote? Die a hero or live long enough to become the monster.
Yeah.
Die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. The
villain, yes.
Yep. Which could be the thing,
Right.
It would also be if this is a longer campaign, it would be interesting too to see maybe that the organization they're working with is like kind of like an MIB type of organization or a BPRD type of organization, right. And it's ran by humans. You have to be pure blood human. You have to be a pure human to be running it. even though you die, even though stuff like that. And at first, maybe it's like a bell curve where the characters, I should say, like that the humans are running it, and maybe there's hope for them. And then as they keep going through, they get more resentful, thinking this old human who's been running the organization for years just doesn't understand. It doesn't know. He can't understand until they start to go down that other side of the bell curve, when they're starting to lose themselves and starting to lose those sanity checks, and they realize, I don't feel anything anymore. I don't regret it. It's good they're running it, because they still feel it. So, definitely that nice progression there.
I love that. I love thinking of the first time you tell a player that they fail, like you're saying, they fail a sanity check or whatever system you're using, and then it's like the answer to that fail is you don't feel any remorse right now. You don't feel anything. Just satisfied for the moment.
You feel nothing but satisfaction.
I would love to see a player who's really into it would be like, oh man.
So Zach.
Yes, exactly.
Were you going to say something, Scrat?
No, I was just laughing at you.
Oh, well, fine.
with us, right, Scrat? With us, right?
Sure.
Yep. I also think this song works if you want to use it as your villain's song. That would be the very direct way to use it. And I think, to be fair, I think Dan's gravitation towards the 80s for his setting is kind of because the song's a rock song.
It fits, right?
It does.
Well, I mean, you did that with the Many Eyes game too, and having that song, like you could literally have that. Harkening back to my final thought and the other stuff you guys have talked about, incorporating meta into it, of actually playing the song too, and having that be a trigger eventually would be the goal.
Mm-hmm. You might have to.
I was gonna say that whole Transformer album's pretty good, so we can use it for other months.
We'll see. I told him maybe next Sci-Fi July we'll do something Transformers. Maybe. I'm not committing to it for sure. But maybe.
You all heard it.
There is a Transformers TTRPG out there.
Is there really? I'm not surprised.
I saw it a while back. It had some pretty cool artwork in it.
Oh no, it's gonna take over because we could do March of the Max for that system.
Well, that's fair. We could do March of the Max with it and reserve Sci-Fi July for something else. We'll see. I'm not committing.
Scrap wants all of it.
Both of them? No.
Yeah.
One Transformer each month.
No. Okay, moving on from this.
I do have to say, the song, legitimately, the song was perfect for this. It was very inspiring. You're so right with the villain. Because the first thing I think, I was like, oh, this is villain backstory, how you embrace the darkness. And yeah, it's really great. Or it's a character who succumbs at the end. Because I think that's something with Cthulhu. You always want any kind of Lovecraftian thing. You want that potential that the insanity does win out in the end.
Mm-hmm. The idea with Call of Cthulhu as a TTRPG and even Pulp Cthulhu is that surviving is not always preferable. And you may survive, but you're not coming out unscathed. It's not like a fantasy game where you're powerful enough to regrow hands and resurrect the dead and stuff like that. You try to resurrect the dead in this one, you can do it, but what comes back? To borrow from The Curious Case of Charles Ward or something like that. don't bring anything back that you can't put down. So.
I love it. Be careful what you wish for.
You just might get it. Which, I guess you could do a genie with this one, but it's playing off of your hunger then. So.
Right, that's interesting.
Not so much its hunger. But
yeah, that's an interesting thought too. Or is it, you think it's a genie? Think it's some kind of djinn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the word djinn and the origins of genie and djinn were basically like demons. So.
Right.
They weren't good spirits. So.
No. Yeah. Only Robin Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. With his phenomenal cosmic power. Itty bitty leaping space. All right. It's time for final thoughts, I think. Okay. So. I'm sorry, Dan, but it's got to be you.
Punishment fits the crime. Final thoughts on this 4 character concept. Yeah, I think it's coming back to what we were just talking about. Is you really want the option. You want to make sure there's something that really would bring your character to that insanity point, that they'd actually want to go into that. That would be something I would be thinking about for my character concept. What are the flaws of my character? I always love doing that in most games, but I think for anything Lovecraftian, you really want to think about, really make that part of the build of your character, is those flaws. Where would they give in, or where could they be poked and prodded the best? And sharing that with your game master is always nice. Knowing that you're walking into a Lovecraft game too. But really looking at the flaws and desires, the vices, any of that kind of stuff is going to make for, especially thinking of the hunger specifically, can make for a really fun game. And going into the game knowing you're going on a ride, I think is what it really is. It's kind of a narrative ride of seeing what is going to happen. Survival, like how did you say it, Adam? Survival's not always preferable.
Right. So
who knows what it looks like at the end. Thinking about your outro or what happens to the character after the game ends too would be interesting. If they survived, what does that look like? That's some of the best parts of the Lovecraft horror games, especially.
All right. Okay, Scrat, I'll let you go.
I don't have a solution, but I want a mechanic that we had talked about it, I think, in the last one. Because I was talking about my idea here. The hunger stat and the sanity stat would fight against each other. And, as your hunger goes down, obviously you get weaker, but I really want something that would tempt the player on a mechanical level to feed more. But I don't know what the drawback would be mechanically. It's like, okay, you feed more, you get all these buffs, you get cryptid powers, yada yada yada. But when you start feeding too much and buffing those powers more and more and more, other than just failing sanity checks, like what's the drawback? Like, can you get to a point of no return accidentally? Like, you don't know, or maybe that is the risk. You roll sanity checks every so often, and when you fail one, like, you can't go back.
Well, go ahead,
Adam.
I'm surprised I hadn't thought of it last time you brought that up. There's the White Wolf games. Vampire the Masquerade, Changeling, Mage, all of those have drawbacks for power.
Ooh.
So, those Werewolf, all of those have drawbacks for power. So, you actually do have that kind of corruption. It's not called that, I don't think. It depends on which game you're playing, but they have those push and pull kind of back and forth codified a lot more than a lot of other games. They're crunchier though too. So you could try and take that. You just look at that mechanic and take it out, and then stick it on something else. That could be done. Just change the dice set that you're using. And if you want to have more or less probability, you would change around which dice you're using.
That's interesting.
I like the idea of whatever that mechanic would be. If it was a slippery slope, you just kind of have this random shot of totally backfiring on you, and that'd be like the whole, to reflect the whole playing with fire with your powers, right? If you're going too far off, it's like you might lose yourself. So
There is
that temptation.
Well, there is something attractive from a game perspective of giving in once you can get back from, but the more you give in, the more likely you are to give in the next. If you keep on giving in all the time, makes it harder and harder.
Right. My initial thought, I'm sure the games you suggested, Adam, have it better done, but my initial thought was twofold. One is a lot of the Lovecraftian. There is that narrative aspect. I think, obviously, set the stage at session 0, but I think most people coming into it, they want to see the character story. So I think some narrative consequences could be helpful and possibly desirable from a meta standpoint, not for the character. But then the other thought I had was in line with that, just generally, I'm not sure how you would break it down, but feeding grants them the boons. But every time they do it, to get those boons again, they have to feed more.
Nope.
They can't get it at the same amount, so kind of mimicking an addiction, like you never get that same high as the first hit. You got to keep doing more and more, which could pose challenges if you set it up right. Like, well, one brain did it for me this time. Next time I need 2 brains, and yeah, I get super powerful, but every time I need more and more. Again, I don't know. You'd have to
Go eat a
little.
Go eat a whole prison before fighting the BBEG. Bring snacks.
Snacks. I love that.
They just bring lobotomized prisoners or something like that. It is the 20s.
Totally could work. I mean, they're not doing anything with it now. So.
Yeah. All right.
Brain jerky.
And this is why GM search histories are
questionable.
Could you make jerky out of brain?
Short answer, no. It's fat. Shrivels.
Brain soup.
Yeah, I mean, you could okay, so you could preserve the brain by powdering the brain, dehydrating and powdering the brain.
Pickled brain.
You could do pickled brain.
Adam nods with an eye roll. Yes, you could.
But then you're lugging around a pickled brain. So it's like, that's and it's not light, Brains are heavy.
Yeah. Plus the pickling juice.
But the flavor.
I mean, you're talking about eating brains. The Migo from Yuggoth. Yuggoth was the planet. That's what the Migo call Pluto. They live on Pluto.
Okay.
So they actually do collect human brains, but not for a nice reason, not even for an eating reason. They do it to collect brains and take them and use them. So, yeah. All right. So my final thought, I guess, is what we're on.
Mm-hmm.
I like this time is running out, and I ain't found it yet. That gives you a chance, if this is your villain, to present, even if it's not your villain, whichever character this is, if you're giving them a specific hunger, the context here is, I'll do anything to get it and feel no regret. Time is running out and I ain't found it yet. Maybe that hunger is just something they keep looking for. I'm thinking of, at the moment, the portrait of Dorian Gray by H.G. Wells. I think it's H.G. Wells. where that portrait is what takes on all the negative aspects of the results of what he's doing. He's basically immortal, but this would imply that there's no satisfaction in all of that. He's doing it without any regret. That's what's so horrible about that portrait one. It's that he's debaucherous and he has no regret. He does all these things, all these horrible things, and abuses his body and other people and stuff like that, and he has no regret for it. But it's not satisfied either. And that's the thing with gluttony, it's never satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So this burning hunger and time is running out and I ain't found it yet. Playing on that time element, putting a time limit putting a hard time limit on either your players who are involved in this hunger that they're trying to overcome, or the bad guy needing something by this time, or something happens to that bad guy. Because this could be a lower level bad guy than the main dude.
Mm-hmm.
That could also be something that you're working with in your story. That's my final thought. Put a hard time limit.
Yep. It's always good. I'm not good at it, but it's great.
All right. Well, that is August Abominations done. Appreciate you stopping by. We hope you have enjoyed. We hope you have enjoyed your time at the Interplanar Crossroads. You can check us out at interplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com. All of our links and such are over there if you want to support us. We thank Scrat from A Squirrel Plays for coming. You can check him out exclusively on YouTube. And then, did we do a chat comment this time?
No.
So we're gonna do
Pickled brains.
Pickled brains. Pickled brains.
That's
okay.
Good. That's good.
Pickled brains is the comment. Good luck to anyone commenting that, because you have to stick around to the outro, and most people don't. So. All right. Avenue Studios has been with us. This is Dan specifically. You can check out their webpage at avenuestudios.media. YouTube, Rumble, Patreon, and Locals. Their different shows and the things they have going on. So, check them out if you would like to. And remember, Kitty in Boots, you're supposed to tell her, when are you doing the Columbo AMV? Just to get a little, pester a little bit. And we're trying to get her up to 100, so you can go ahead and try that. I think that's everything. As always, we hope you have enjoyed. And remember, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Weird.
You can experience the whether.
Hopefully my
supposed to be
campaign
apparently
idea was generally
Saga.
different. I was like, it's on the nose, but it's just inspiring. Wait, that's so cute.
Alright, so you can see how do I...
You zoomed in. You should be able to zoom out.
Yeah. I was trying to...
Look at his happy little face. So innocent.
How did I zoom in and out?
There you go.
Oh my word. It's adorable.
Well, we were looking at the tires and we the AI could have at least put the rim tire thing on the front.
Nah, it's perfect.
I got a few like this where he's riding something, and some of them are pretty great because it looks like the contraption's falling apart. There's pieces falling.
I love it. It looks like he retrofitted a little like John Deere or something.
Yeah, man, he's going on an adventure.
Well,
Let's
that
see.
one's red.
It would be
That
yellow, yeah.
that would-
What would...
Green would be John Deere.
Right.
Red and blue are Massey. Massey Ferguson. So
Okay, yes.
orange is Husqvarna, maybe?
Oh, man, yeah, I feel like...
Dill also is an orange one, but I don't think they make anything that big. Like, they're all handheld stuff.
This is a squirrel. It is
I
not that
mean-
big.
That's true.
He's going down, but he's having a great time.
No,
this whole thing's falling apart, and he's just
He's
like,
right.
I'm here for it.
No, he's riding a pod racer engine.
It does look like a pod racer. You're so right. It's right on the edge. He was fixing the pod racer and it didn't go well.
He's fixing the pod racer and it just took off.
Oh,
All
the
those
sound
classics.
effects on
Yeah.
that were- yeah, so
Sound
good,
effects.
man.
I mean, as much maligned as they were, now that we've gotten other things, the prequels of Star Wars are just fine.
Yes, they did what they needed to do. Enough
Sold
to laugh
toys.
about and enough to love. Yeah, sold toys. That's exactly right. And Duel of the Fates. It was all worth it.
Oh.
For Duel of the Fates.
That was, say what people might, that was one of the best lightsaber fights in the entire series.
Oh,
Dun dun
seriously.
dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum. And the double-bladed lightsaber.
Yes, when he activates. Oh, the actor did so good with that. Now we have the Acolyte.
I was ripping into that when we got started.
It's not even. It's almost not even fun because it's so bad. Like, forget anything Star Wars just as a story. I don't know what's going on. Characters changing their minds in the middle of a scene and like
There's just a bunch of lesbian space witches made miracle babies.
Yeah.
And now
Here's the image I was trying to find earlier, where it's just falling apart, but he's having the best of time.
what is up with that back? Is that supposed to be a hover thing or something?
Well, there used to be a wheel there, so it done fell off a couple miles back.
that is so good.
He's just like, I'm going, man, I'm going.
I'm living my best life.
Oh my word, I love it so much. I almost feel like it doesn't actually roll. It like walks with the four legs. It's like,
It's got tires, but it walks instead.
yes.
I mean, they're not rubber.
It's true. It's all gears and metal.
Oh, AI.
It does make for some funny pictures.
Well, we brought that up in our discussion, how embracing the modern, we're in a sweet spot right now of if you set something in this particular 2020 type of stuff, you're just fine. They don't care if you see them. They don't care because you could film the bad guy all you wanted, and all they would say, you film this huge, nasty monster, and they would say,
Go ahead. Show them. They won't believe you.
Oh, dude, that's so good. Did that come up in the urban chat?
yeah.
Yes.
It's like we wouldn't. It's like because all of these monsters in the AI creations, they're all freaky looking because they
Right.
don't make sense. They're illogical. It's exactly like monsters from the Lovecraft mythos. They don't make logical sense.
That'd make a good film. Coming out of the screen and everything.
Like go full The Ring on it with it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I told Scrat one of these times we'll have to do like a maybe in our everything month where we do just whatever we want to do. We'll do like items from games or other things that you can bring into your games, like iconic stuff you would want to bring in and stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
So we'll think about it. All right, y'all ready to get into this particular one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're in the last one. It drives me mad. So, room tone.